Hello, everyone, and welcome to ATL Falcons UK. This week, we're joined by Christian, and Mark, and Tricky, and everyone, and James. And yeah, Mike's going to be joining us. Cal's going to be in pretty soon. So we're going to cover the Chiefs game a little bit. And then, no doubt, all that's going to lead into slating Dirk Cotter and whatnot. So, lads, I'll let you go ahead and give us your thoughts on the Chiefs game to start with whilst I get this out there.
Oh, Atlanta. Is there anything else you can actually say week in, week out? I mean, not many quarterbacks outplay Patrick Mahomes. Not many defenses dominate at Arrowhead and still lose.
Very true.
Just any way for us. We couldn't lose any way possible. Hell,
I'm a good Mike.
I think we'd be able to lose if there was a streaker or something like that. Just in the most random ways possible.
Yeah. I think it was one of those ones where it was going to be we'd either win it or we'd find a way to lose it, and I honestly didn't think Koo would miss it. Koo would miss the field goal at the end to take it to overtime. But I think it's just one of those things. He's had one mess up this year, so we can't really blame him at all.
Yeah,
Koo's been pretty solid, and honestly, watching it on TV, it looked like it was going to go in. It was just going to go in just up inside that right upright, and then it just said nope.
We were saying just off the air a minute ago how hard it is for that one to take, because he's been our Mr. Reliable all season. He's got unspeakable kicks. Everybody said that he couldn't kick over 50. He's done 8 on the bounce or something like that. He's got points when we've needed him. And then the one game where you think, that's nailed on. No, I would have put my house on him to convert that. And then just the Falcons happened, as always.
MVP. Yeah. Well, and what's funny is, a lot of people, like you said, didn't give Koo any credit. But, I went to Georgia Southern well before he went. But I did get to watch him through his collegiate career. He's 88.6% rate for it's like it's still a record even after Tyler Bass kicks for Buffalo now.
Yeah.
He was apparently the second coming of Koo at Southern, and he still didn't get up near what Koo did. And it's good. I will say, from a small mid-major school, it's cool to see two of the best kickers in the NFL being from the same school. It just warms my cold heart a little bit.
I mean, I think realistically, I don't know what else we could have asked him in this season, and yeah, it was a bit heartbreaking because obviously we'd played really well against the Chiefs, but again, it's like long term, like bigger picture. A, it wasn't his fault. B, if it had gone to overtime, we probably would have lost anyway. And look, that's not me being negative, because ultimately, if we'd even won the toss and marched down the field, who here would be confident that we could convert in the red zone against the Chiefs? I mean, we've struggled red zone all season, and look, like cards on the table, I didn't need another 10 minutes of stress in my life, and then on the other hand, if we win, we shag the draft position, and then everyone kicks off anyway. So there's kind of no middle ground there. And I can't help but go, yeah, it was disappointing. It was really good to see us playing good defense, but come on, boys, let's be real about this situation. It just would have been another 10 minutes of stress.
I think it was very much a win-win game for us, really. The result at the end of the day, we played arguably our best football of the season, against arguably the best team in the NFL.
Yep.
We matched them. We showed what potential we do have. All right, we lost, but we haven't fucked up our draft position. So it's win-win. We've shown what we can do. I was probably the least dejected I have ever been after a defeat because I just thought we went out, we gave everything we could. We left it all out there. Considering the scratch team we had when you got Hennessy and Tuioti Mariner and no Julio Jones, we had a scratch team and we matched them. And in fact, at times we were better than them. The game plan was right by keeping Mahomes off the field.
Yeah,
it's just one of those.
Ran the ball better as well, which was surprising.
Yeah, well, that's Ito Smith coming in, wasn't it? Bringing Todd Gurley in on third downs, I think, was probably the right idea. But no, I thought we were excellent Sunday. I had no problem with that.
Yeah, and let's also give some props to Matt. The position on the line play, not necessarily the hardest physical position. That would be the left tackle. A lot of people don't realize that the coverage shift and everything are actually from the center position. So he has to be able to identify, with Matt's help, he identifies the mic and he has to call out whether or not to shift the coverage and stuff like that. So he didn't get a chance to do a whole lot of that. And there were some times when he was just in space. He's going to look stuff against people like Chris Jones. Man, on your first start in the NFL.
I think they graded him the lowest offensive player. I think it's something like 37.8 on the PFF or something stupid like that. But I actually thought Hennessy did really well considering.
Yeah.
You can't pay attention to those grades too much because some of them were absolutely shocking. I think Deion Jones was graded down in the 30s as well. But I thought Hennessy, he's going to be our future at centre. Let's face it. I don't think we're going to be drafting another one, and unless another Alex Mack comes up on the on free agency, which isn't going to happen, then he was excellent.
Mm-hmm.
I think he did exactly what he needed to do. He kept it nice and simple. Granted, he had a couple of holds, but it happens when you've got someone like Chris Jones opposite you, and you're thinking, "Shit, he's coming straight at me. How do I get enough time for Ito Smith to go around me?"
Yeah.
Bloody hell, I agree with Joel Bell for once. Hennessy played really well. None of us expected him to come in and out. No, it would be Rodney Hudson 2.0. He was a rookie, and that clearly showed. Going up against Chris Jones, like what Mike B said, is not easy. He's one of the premier defensive tackles in the league. So he did that. He handled himself really well. I just think his inexperience got the better of him, and that was expected.
He's going to get better as you get the more games he plays. While it'll be disappointing Sunday not to a degree say goodbye and thank you to Alex Mack. I think I'd rather Hennessy play Sunday so he gets more of that experience.
Yeah, he would be going up against Ndamukong Suh. So that's another trial by fire, and that would be. He gets to go up against Grady Jarrett in practice, but nobody's going 100% in practice. No. But you go up against Sue the next week, man, that is definitely trial by fire. And he was, he did it, like y'all said, he did exactly what he needed to do and exactly what was expected. He was not, he didn't put us in bad positions. So.
And I think also because he didn't have a true left guard next to him, I think that there was also pressure from that side. But I think is it Gano played a decent played a decent shift, considering he's a right tackle by trade.
Yeah.
So
But
it's always good when your idiot and the head coach decides to dig him out for that after just playing the best team in the NFL. Really good man management, that.
You just couldn't wait, could you?
And what's true to that is I blame a lot of the offensive line play not on the talent of the offensive line, because they've shown that, you know, in the right blocking scheme they do really well. I think it's blocking schemes that that Cutter is drawn up for these plays are just awful.
I think we're going on about the offense. So at the end of the day, though, we only held them. We may have only held them to 17, but we only scored 14.
Yeah.
You know, we had opportunities and we didn't take them. I know, obviously, as I said, Kansas are probably one of the best teams in the NFL, but we could have put up more than 14.
I think what Kansas City showed us was what to do with an athletically gifted tight end. If Hurst could be like 50% of what Kelsey is, and we could actually use him, I think we'd be getting a bit more. We're getting a few more points.
But that's down to the offensive coordinator to draw up plays for.
You're not calling many plays for him.
No.
Hurst is usually Ryan's second or third option, third especially when Julio plays. So
he's massively underutilized.
It's clear that Cutter doesn't call many plays for him.
I'd just like to refer to James's name on the screen for this moment in time, just whilst we're heading on to the Cotter talk. I completely agree that he literally has half-page playbook, and that showed even more again this weekend.
I really don't want to talk about Dirk Cutter anymore because, you know, we hang him out to dry week in, week out. What more can we say about him? He's a waste of space, and the sooner he's gone, the better. And that ends the TED talk.
I'll let Mike have a little take on him, just because we've not had the opportunity to hear Mike say anything on him. But I think we all know everybody else's takes.
So I respect Cutter for staying in the league as long as he has. You know, he. I'll say that it's early in the stream. I'll be diplomatic. Before I get to the hot takes.
Yeah, Mike. This is the Atlanta Falcons UK. We don't do diplomatic. We just say fucking shit.
So I will say that my coach in high school would run the same 3 plays every week in, week out. The difference between my coach and Dirk Cutter is that we actually made the playoffs.
I think that's perfect. I don't even know anymore. I've got no words.
I think the fact that we're sitting here at 1 game to go, and literally the best thing that we can say is well fucking done for blagging your way another job and doing another shite job. And you know what it is? We wish you well as long as you just fuck off now. And
he's Brex Ryan 2.0, isn't he?
Here's the thing about Cutter.
If you look at the Bucs are a great example, and I don't like these fuckers by any stretch of the imagination, but and I've got one mate who has always supported the Bucs for some unknown reason, and he's been quieter than the mouse for the past 3.5 years. I've been watching the NFL, and all of a sudden now he's shouting from the rooftops, and it is funny, isn't it, how you can. They had Carter for however many years, and Raheem, and done a grand total of fuck all. And suddenly we get blessed with a pair of them, and we're exactly the same. And it's just it's systematic, isn't it? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because now, I mean, look at the success they're having with that crazy bastard over there. Do you know what I mean? Like Arians isn't necessarily known for being for being a football genius. But it's just a different culture, and unfortunately, the culture that those two have managed to bring, along with our old pal Dan Quinn, has just been pathetic. And you know, like I say, I can't. I'm a little bit like what Tricky said. You know, I can't keep talking about this prick. I can't, because it's the same shit week in, week out, isn't it? You know, we've got and I keep coming back to, I can't wait until they're gone, because then we can actually start having some meaningful conversations apart from the usual.
Like I think with Cutter, it's a bit like jobs for the boys. He's an experienced NFL coach, and he's an offensive coordinator. We need an offensive coordinator. He sort of fits with what Matt Ryan wants to do. It's like, why can't we be a bit innovative and go for younger options like O'Connell, who's at the Rams, the offensive coordinator Dallas, like go for someone younger.
Yeah,
California. Joe Brady comes into that category too.
Matt LaFleur, when he was an offensive coordinator. Why don't we go for someone like that instead of a retread who's done, as Mark says, fuck all where he's previously been?
I think that might come into I think that would be down to the GM, though, wouldn't it? Really, the fact that it was Dimitrov for most of the tenures of bringing defensive coordinators as head coaches. I think that the new GM, although it's not in his remit that he's got to go for an offensive coach, I think he's going to be looking at that. And I think a new GM will probably be looking at the bigger picture rather than, like you say, just going with retreads and bringing back people for the sake of it.
What the new GM needs to do is the fact that look at Quinn, look at Custer, look at Morris. They all try to be the players' mates. And I said this on the Down by Contact podcast. Hello, fellas, if you're watching. Quinn tried to be a mate to the players, and that's what cost him his job. He wasn't a coach anymore. Players didn't respect him as a coach. They respected him as their mate, someone who they could go to the pub with. So that's what the new GM needs to do. Avoid a coach who's going to be the player's mate. And as for Cutter, he weirdly have the number one passing offense in Tampa Bay in his final year. And the passing offense, since he's been back in Atlanta, has been all right. But it's the same thing. He's never had a good run game. He's never been able to dial up a good run game.
That's a lot of that has to do with that he likes to run guts, in between tackles. When he was the offense coordinator for us back in, and we had Michael Turner, with as he was, especially in the legs, it didn't matter who was going to run over him, and that was great. We also had like just Todd McCourt, Harvey Dahl, Tyson Clabo, Sam Baker in preseason before he tore something. Had a road grading offensive line. We just don't have that here because we were built for several years in a zone run scheme. These smaller tackles, these smaller guards that can pull really well. They just don't. They just don't have the mass the others did. But I have a mock draft that we can get to later where I kind of fix that. But and on that note, I've got to change computers. I just got home, so I'm going to change computers. So I'll be able to come back in about 5 minutes. But,
yeah, no worries, mate. No worries, mate. Get yourself back on, and then I'll add you straight back on when you're all set up and everything.
Right. Sounds good. I'll be back.
Right. Let's come off all the shite. Positives about the game, or
all right. One positive: the defense held up.
Yeah,
and the defense played really well. And I mean, really well. I mean, AJ blew that interception, but aside from that, he played a really, really good game.
I think that one's another one of them moments which is a shame, really, because if you played that moment through again 100 times, he's probably catching it like 90 of those times. And it's a shame for his career, but it's just a shame for us as well, because that's what like elevates you as a player, and the amount of confidence it would have given him to get a game-changing interception like that. But I agree, he did play a good game.
But Mark was absolutely delighted with the fact it didn't, because it meant Raheem Morris threw in a fucking waste of time challenge, which just gave him more ammunition to boot him out the door.
Well, we were talking. Go on, Mark.
First of all, yeah, because I every single game I come through and I go, I'm really excited about the rebuild. I really, really am. You know, I'm really excited to see some new coaches, some new ideas, because, you know, everyone, and I got slated originally for going, Raheem's not the guy. And everyone was like, oh, no, he's fucking 3-1. He's fucking this and he's fucking that. No, he's fucking shocking. And and the fact that he came straight out after the game and dug out one of his players. Now, I'm all for players getting dug out when they need to be getting dug out, but they should be getting dug out face to face, not this prick going in front of the media. So, like, yeah, I'm going to jump on that, because actually I think it was a really, really shit move. And I think it was a move that, again, is probably going to take him further away from the head coach's job, which he doesn't deserve to be near anyway. And also, one positive that I'd also like to call out was on that last drive, when obviously it ended in a field goal, but it was really, really fucking nice to see. No huddle. Fuck you, Dirk Wetter. I fucking hate you anyway. Matt Ryan, no huddle. Just getting the fucking ball down the field. No bullshit calls. No stupid. Just it was, and I think for me to see Matt being able to do that gives me confidence that even if we do or don't take QB in the draft, you know, I know there's a lot being said about it. I think there's going to be a lot of angry people because I don't think we are going to. But I think just to be able to see Matt doing that in the face of all of the adversity and all of the shite and all of this pish coaching, I think was a really, really good thing to see, because it still shows that Matt's got it. It's just a shame that he's playing in it. He's had to play for a shit system this year, but I think that was really, really positive and really nice to see.
I think despite all of that, though, there's still a hell of a lot of people out there that are calling for his head at this stage as well, because he's being tied into all of these shit coaches and shit playbooks that he's playing under. And I don't think there's a way out of that for him now. I think until he's done at the Falcons, people won't actually appreciate him, or not enough people will appreciate him.
But they're the same fuckers who will just complain with the next one and complain with the next one and complain with the next one. And, you know, like, I don't think we're ever going to really shift that. I mean, you know, even if Matt comes out next year and wins the Super Bowl, you know, it'll be, oh, well, it wasn't Matt that won it. It was the new coach, or it wasn't this, or it wasn't that, you know. And I think like I really don't tend to entertain these fucking arguments anymore, because usually they're just people looking for excuses. And I think if we're going to play that game, cool, it's not a problem. But you know, I'm kind of done with this argument now. I think, you know, we do need to start thinking longer term about, right, okay, what's next? Who are we going to look at to, you know, bring through and become QB1? But, you know, if that's, I think it's a bit of a nonsensical argument. And, you know, we did this last year. Everyone did it last year. Everyone was like, oh, we should take this QB. We should take this QB. We should take this QB. Oh, no, why did we draft defense? Well, because the defense is shit. So, you know, I think people have just got to stop fucking moaning personally. But the next GM is going to have to be a wizard anyway, boys, and we know that. So,
well, I think just whilst we're on the topic of quarterbacks because I feel like it's going to come up anyway, and there's been a million names mentioned. Cal put a tweet out yesterday, so I'm just going to say the name and see what happens.
Don't even do it. Don't do it. I know what you're going to say. Don't do it.
Dwayne.
No, shut up. Just shut up.
I've got to throw it out there for debate. I've got to throw it out there for debate.
There's no debate.
When Carl gets drunk, right, you've got to change a password before he.
It's just constantly be changing all the time. Then it's just never a time.
Because with the best will in the world, that is the worst take I've seen like this year.
Can I?
It was Sam Darnold.
I'll be honest. When Haskins got released, I was like, "Yeah, he's not on much." But then I think I put on Pat McAfee's podcast, and he was saying there's a hell of a lot of behind-the-scenes issues with Haskins. I think it was Mike Lombardi who said it, and after listening to that, I was like, "No, I really don't want that."
He loves a lapper, apparently.
Yeah.
Genuinely, apparently he's well known around the Washington strip clubs.
I believe that's what this is for, isn't it? I believe that pre-game the other week that he was in a strip club celebrating someone's birthday or something, which sounds like a hell of a lot of fun. But come on, with the money that you're getting paid and the contracts that you're on and the profession that you're in, like, really?
I mean, Washington are usually on the early game as well, aren't they? So that means that man was in a strip club at like 9 a.m. That's pretty decent fucking form, boys. Do you know what I mean?
I know he's consistent.
Like nip down the strip club for a bowl of Cheerios. However, and that's good form.
The best place for him would be Seattle because Portland is literally next door, and Portland has the most strip clubs in the US.
There we go. Perfect. Get him in there. Sit him number 2 there. Job done. But in terms of Falcons, that we didn't actually get a proper answer, but the fact that none of you answered gave me an answer, so that'll do for me.
Yeah, I think. I feel like every kind of QB movement, like it was the same with Cam. You know, it'll be the same with the next prick who decides to up and fuck off from that team, and everyone will be like, "Oh, should we be looking at him?" And the answer is very resoundingly no. The good QBs don't just come up. It doesn't really work like that. Good QBs get signed and make loads of money. And
they don't get cut before the end of their second season.
No, correct.
I mean,
we might as well just be talking about Johnny Manziel or fucking someone like that.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I love Alex Smith, but you got cut from behind a guy who's essentially got 1.5
legs.
Real legs. And that's a pretty astoundingly shit place to be in. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Carl Allen.
And that is no disrespect to Alex Smith, by the way, but if you're a young quarterback that's been drafted in the first round 2 years ago, and the guy who's got 1.5 legs is starting in front of him, I mean, don't get me wrong. I know, Riverboat Ron's kind of really done a pretty good job with that lot this season. Given the constraints that team have got, for that to be happening, it's got to be something behind the scenes.
Yeah, I agree. I'm just going to tag someone else in whilst we're waiting for Mike to get back. With me a second. Hey, mate, you all right?
What's going on, fellas?
Not too bad. Just in time for my next question. So, I was going to ask everyone.
That's not Miss Maggie.
What's going on, Tricky? How y'all doing, man?
You're all right.
Thank you for jumping on.
Hey, man, we're doing the best that we could do with what's going on in Atlanta right now. So,
well, my next question was going to be: do we draft a quarterback to sit behind Matt for a season or two, or do we take someone that's on the board at the moment in time that's already got time in the NFL? Was going to be my next one, so I'll let you all
I think with the quarterbacks, Lawrence isn't dropping. He's not. He's going first overall.
Yeah.
Fields has had one good season at Ohio State, but like as I think I put in the group, like Ohio State don't produce good NFL quarterbacks.
Yeah.
You can honestly tell me, like it's like JT Barrett, Cardell, Jones, Haskins, and then I can't think of any others. There was one who was at Baltimore in the sort of early 2000s, but they haven't really produced a good quarterback.
Agreed.
I would take Grantham for our pick, though.
Hey man, I'm gonna go ahead and tell you, based on the Falcons' current situation, all we need to do right now is trade down and get as many assets as we can, because we all know that. Look at the game on Sunday, guys.
Yeah,
we didn't lose because of Matt Ryan. You know, it wasn't a Matt Ryan issue. So if we trade back, we could trade back to maybe that 8th spot, maybe with the Patriots. And if Patrick Surtain is still there, you know, we could get him and pair another cornerback with AJ Terrell, because, you know, you're going to need those types of guys, especially in today's NFL. And then in the second round, if we could get, you know, a good value defensive end, because Steven Means is just not the guy. You know, I think that would be the way to go, because with Matt Ryan's contract situation, even trading them is close to impossible. So let's just ride it out for these last couple of years with Matt, because I don't think he's the problem, and we'll have competent coaches, and I think we'll be okay moving forward, guys.
I'll take that. Just on this note, I'm going to tag myself out a second, tag Mike in, because I know Mike's got quite a lot of draft takes lined up, or from what I've read anyway, so bear with me one sec.
Danny.
Hello? Go on, Mark.
Doing your Alan Partridge impression, Mark.
No, I was just gonna say. I was just gonna say I've got to go for dinner with the kids now. So just you tag yourself back in, and I'll speak to you guys later.
All right.
Much love, fellas.
There we go. We've done a bit of juggling. Wow, okay.
Musical stream.
Love it. But yeah, Mike, so you just caught us on phasing into a little bit of draft talk. Maybe, well, my initial question was, do we draft a quarterback to sit behind Matt for a few years, or do we have a look in the NFL? And that led to Big Low saying, drop down and take as many picks as we can get, because that's what we need at the moment in time.
So I absolutely feel that we should probably take one in the draft, but not the first round. Definitely not the first round. There's too much value later in the draft. I actually did a mock draft last night on the draftnetwork.com. They do a mock draft, and it actually gave me 10 picks with the comp picks and stuff. So excuse me. So I don't trade back in it. I take the best player available, which for this particular draft was definitely Patrick Surtain. He's a corner out of Alabama. He's tall. He's 6'2", or, you know, as y'all like to put it in non-freedom units, 1.88 meters. So and 203 pounds, or in UK terms, 14.5 stone. See,
You've done your research.
I recognize that the US is not the only country in the world. So I love Surtain. I'm a big Bama fan. I've been a Bama fan for my entire life. My mom went to Alabama and was a year behind Joe Namath. I don't know if y'all have ever heard of him. He's really not a big, you know, not like he's a Hall of Fame quarterback or anything, or you know, guaranteed a Super Bowl win or anything. But, you know, I love his size. I love his speed. We have some really big receivers, especially in the NFC South. You've got DJ Moore, which is a kind of a smaller probably the smallest big receiver we have in the NFC South, but like Mike Evans, when we played Tampa Bay last week and when we play them Sunday, you're going to see that AJ Terrell, as good as he is, as talented as he is, just doesn't have the height and the length to go against somebody like Mike Evans. So having somebody like Surtain, who's 6'2", and has really good jump, really long arms too. He's going to be good against Mike Evans, and if we get somebody like him, I don't think we need to go too heavy into the defensive line. I actually don't take a defensive end until the 4th round. My 2nd round pick is Trey Smith out of Tennessee. Now this dude, 6'6", or almost 2 meters tall and 147.5 kilos.
Yep.
Dude is big, and I've watched him. Growing up in Atlanta, I watch a lot of Georgia, I watch a lot of Tennessee, I watch a lot of Alabama. And this guy, he's a monster, and he plays in tackle right now. And I saw some earlier. Somebody had asked about Penei Sewell.
Yeah.
Did I? Yeah. So
out of Oregon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sewell is a phenomenal tackle, but we don't need tackles right now. We need interior guys. Trey Smith can make that move inside. He's a big guy. He's an aggressive guy. He reminds me a lot of Harvey Dahl. Harvey Dahl was just a violent offensive lineman, and I loved every second.
Loved it.
Him and Tyson Clabo. There were a couple of analysts that called them the jail yard boys because they were just they would mug you. They didn't just block you; they wanted you. They wanted you hurt. No, and he was really good. In the 3rd round, though, I go back to Alabama with Mac Jones. And a lot of people, he's going to be a Heisman finalist, but a lot of people just aren't looking at him because he doesn't have that big arm, that people keep on saying is absolutely necessary. And, Matt Ryan throws 60 yards, but he has a noodle arm. And, so so I'm not really concerned too much about the big throws, but at 76% or 76.5% completion rate so far this season. I mean, you in the NCAA where quarterbacks just throw it and pray that their oversized receivers will get it. For him to be like that is insane. He's got over 3,700 yards passing with 32 touchdowns and only 4 picks. That's insane.
Is that not more on the talent he has at wide receiver though?
I mean, he's enjoyed some good receivers, and he's continuing to enjoy some good receivers. I'll give him that. But I mean, having somebody that can make watching Alabama, he does a really good job of reading the defense. He's not always throwing to Waddle. He's making his reads. He's going through his progressions and going through them quickly, and that's what you want to see in the NFL. Trevor Lawrence is a great physical specimen, but he throws to his 1st or 2nd read. He doesn't really read down the defenses that much. And then in the 4th round, I've got Shaka Toney, the defensive end out of Penn State. He's built a lot like Tack McKinley, but he's not as expensive as Tack McKinley, and he doesn't come with the off the field issues. He's another guy. He's not the fastest guy in the world, but he uses his hands. And that's something you don't see in rookies. You see, raw athleticism, getting around the tackles or getting between the tackles and the guards. You don't see the hands that he throws, and it's great to see.
Yeah, because you mentioned that, Mike, because that's one of the most beautiful things about playing on those lines. I was a defensive line and defensive coordinator coach myself, and I used to preach to my guys all the time. Every down is literally a fight. It's the only place where you could go in and throw all kinds of hands and keep people off of you. So the most important thing is whenever you have those young guys like that, because anybody could be fast. Ask Tack McKinley, ask Vic Beasley. But those guys that are always back there to the quarterback, they go in with that mentality of not letting people touch them. When people don't touch you here, you can do anything you want to do because you're coming at them. So as long as you come to them with straight arms and with keeping their hands off of you, you can do anything you want to do, man. It's all day. And another thing that you mentioned about getting that tackle, people were talking about getting that tackle, is that I honestly think that Caleb McGarry might be a guard. I think Caleb McGarry could play guard. And the reason I say this is because if you look at Caleb McGarry's game, he's strong as all get out now. He's one of those boys that we call country strong over here in the southern United States. But as far as the way that he shoots his hands and those feet, when it comes to kicking back and staying in front of people, he doesn't do that as well as a perennial tackle does. So when it comes to just being in that, right beside that center and just moving forward, I think he would do that better myself.
Yeah, he's definitely a run blocker first.
Yes.
I think on the commentary yesterday, they said, why wasn't McGarry playing guard and Gaino on at tackle? And it just made you think, like, why don't we experiment with that? If they think he can do it, we've got a tackle, we've got a decent backup tackle there.
Yeah,
a job when he's been called in.
I think the only
we've got a vanilla head coach. That's why.
Hey guys, I'm sorry, but I gotta jump back on the clock. I just want to come on and holler at everybody. I want to let y'all know I really enjoy y'all show, man. Thank y'all so much for letting me on, man.
Coming on, we'll make sure we link up again at some point.
Yeah,
too.
definitely. And I want to let y'all know, Miss Maggie T, she's in the comments. Those are my people. We represent Atlanta Falcons Nation. And y'all, whenever y'all get a chance, make sure that you check out my channel, Big Low Country. And I'm sorry, y'all, that I've been spelling it wrong all this time, but I'm from the country, and that's how they spell it, with the Kuntry. So I'll make sure that y'all check me out on YouTube sometime, man. Thank y'all so much. And y'all have a good one, all right?
See you again soon, man.
Thank you.
So yeah, no, that is a really good thought of maybe moving him inside. I don't know how well he would translate over to the left side and interior. I think if we miss on somebody like Trey Smith, so in the draft there are a lot of really good interior linemen. Most of them are centers, but centers do a much better job moving out to guard than tackles tend to move into guard. So there is that. There are 2 steals that I have for the draft though, and too bad he left. We could have talked about I'm gonna absolutely butcher this name. Ifeatu Melifonwu, safety out of Syracuse. Dude is just so. When you watch
it one more time, and then I'll let you go on.
Ifeatu Melifonwu. He's a safety out of Syracuse. So when I played football as well, and I can tell you there are 2 types of speeds. There's non-pad speed, which you're going to see in the combine. Then there's pad speed. Completely different. And some people are really fast out of pads, but are not. But it doesn't translate when you've got the pads on. He is all over the field. I watched probably 30-45 minutes of highlights just on him, just watching him through the games and stuff. And just amazing how he's able to go sideline to sideline. We don't know what Ricardo Allen's future is with us. We don't know what Keanu Neal's future with us is. So we definitely need to hit on a safety. And I'm taking him late in the 5th round on my mock, and that would be an absolute steal. He comes up. He's an aggressive tackler. He's also pretty darn tall for a safety. He's 6'3", and he's got long arms. He does a really good job of covering. Be great covering these big tight ends. And my other steal is in the 6th round, Justin Rice, linebacker out of Arkansas State. He's 6'2", 225, kind of undersized for a linebacker, but again, he's fast. And one of the things that I like about Dan Quinn's teams is that they're fast. Like he's got shitty schemes and shitty coordinators, but the one thing that he was preaching about speed. That's absolutely necessary in the NFL, and Justin Rice does that. He like I said, he's small. He's kind of in between safety and linebacker, kind of like Kamal Ishmael or Sherrod Niesman, kind of in that vein. He could definitely play in big nickel sets, but I mean, he so far this season he has 57 tackles with 7 sacks coming out, and he would be a great weak side and flats defender. But yeah, he could really do some damage. And I saw a tight end out of Virginia that I really liked. Tony Poljan picked him up in the 6th as well. Now the guy is freakishly tall. He's 6'7", or a solid 2 meters. He's great. He's a huge target in the end zone. He can find holes really well in the zone, but he runs like he's not used to his body. Like he was
a newborn deer that's just getting used to his legs and stuff.
Yeah, he's like went to bed 5'7" and grew a foot overnight, and he's just run. He It's like a lumbering gallop more than run. So he's not great on his acceleration, but he could, if he learned from like Hurst and those, he could learn how to use his size to create those mismatches. So
yeah, I'll take that. I think one thing that's probably quite important in this draft, as well as obviously the quality of the player, like you're discussing, is the personality, because you're coming into a team that's pretty low on confidence and the morale's not great, and you've got a new coordinator stepping in. And I don't think it's going to be the perfect environment for a lot of rookies to be coming into, because they're going to want perfect professionals around them that are showing them do this, do that, and do everything. And I don't think many people are going to get looked after and babysat as much as you'd like to.
I disagree completely. Yeah. You look at the players that we've got, Julio Jones, Calvin Ridley, Alex Mack, if he's still there, probably not. We've got players left, right, and centre who are utmost professionals who will make sure rookies are looked after, welcomed, know the ropes, and I don't see an issue whatsoever.
I agree that we have a lot of professionals there that are top quality and will likely still be there anyway. It's just when you're coming into a lethargic environment, where they've had a shitty season, people have let them down, other teammates have let them down, they've let themselves down a little bit. I don't know. I think you got to pick yourself up first before you look around you sometimes. And
I mean, you say that about the Dolphins last year and then this year, and Cleveland Browns a couple of years ago and this year. I don't see it at all. I think I've said this before on the pods that we are very, very, very lucky, and the character we've got in our roster is second to none. And most teams in the NFL would want the character traits that we have got in our squad, and I think we are probably one of the best rosters for a rookie to come into.
I think with the rookies coming in, like Surtain wins basically every week at Alabama, give or take the college playoffs. If we get in players like that who've come from programs that are consistent winners, I think even if you are a rookie, it'll rub off on other players.
They'll have that mentality, won't they?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, you look at Julio Jones, and one cool thing about Surtain and Alabama and Nick Saban coaching Alabama is the character that he builds. You don't really hear anything off the field about anybody from Alabama. You'll see some foolishness coming out of LSU, Odell Beckham Jr. but Saban, he doesn't just coach a football team; he trains young men to keep themselves out of trouble. Because I mean, they're coming in, they're getting millions of dollars. 21 years old, they've been waited on hand and foot at these colleges. You know, they're the big cheese at these colleges, and now they're coming into to the NFL, and they are no longer the big cheese. They're a slice of American in the back of your fridge compared to everybody else. And but they're still getting more money than they've ever seen in their entire lives.
Yeah.
Their entire family has ever seen in their entire lives. So so having programs like what Saban does with Alabama, and what Kirby Smart's been able to do in Georgia, and the guys out west too. They've done a really good job of building characters. So you see a lot fewer of these entitlement issues when you come into the NFL. And while they have that winning mentality, they're not. Dave O'Swinney from Clemson's a great example of that too. You just don't have the off the field issues, the complaints, the princess factor of these new recruits coming in, and that's great. And part of it's also the CBA where you can hold out if you want, but you're not going to make any more money. Your wage is pretty much set for your first contract. So I think that's helped a lot too.
I think with Alabama, it's like a mini NFL anyway. They run pro systems. They get in some coaches who've been in the pros, because I think they had the Giants coach there as well.
Yeah,
Giants. Yeah. So they know what it's like to be an NFL player before they're an NFL player.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I just have one question. You said about getting Mac in the third round. Do you think other teams will get caught up in, oh shit, we need a quarterback, and take him a lot higher than he should theoretically go? What's the highest you think he'll go?
The highest I think he'll go is maybe mid-second. There's so many big name quarterbacks coming into the league, and here's the thing about what I've found in my years of watching the NFL. Risk is, people don't like to take a whole lot of risk in the draft. They want a good product. They don't want to spend too much on them. And I think that the whole thing with Dwayne Haskins happening yesterday, getting released after a season, after barely 2 seasons in the NFL, getting released, being a 15th overall pick, that's going to hurt some of the draft stock of some of these other players. Teams are not going to want to take the big risks. So we're going to see a lot. We're going to see a few go early. We're going to see Trevor Lawrence go first. We all know that. We're going to see probably Trey Lance and Justin Fields go in the top 10. Kyle Trask may go back late first, or early second, even though honestly Mac Jones is a better quarterback top to bottom than Kyle Trask. But we're going to see more quarterbacks taken in like the late second to first half of the third. I think that's where you're going to see a big run on quarterbacks. But I feel confident that Mac Jones is still going to be sitting for us early in the third, and that would be the best. Because you're not going to spend much for him. He can sit back for a couple of years, see how it goes. And we've got a lot to look at too. We've got Kurt Benkert, in our practice squad, and he is a lot better. The only reason I think he's on the practice squad is because we still, for whatever fucking reason, have Matt Schaub.
I don't think that would have been the case if there was a pre-season, personally. I don't think if we had, especially if we had the full 4 games, but even if we had 2, if Benkert got half of those snaps, I just don't see a way that Matt would still be in the roster.
I could see Matt Schaub as an offensive coordinator. I really could.
Fuck it.
I don't see why that would be a bad idea. But I think Benkert deserves a shot to prove that he could be the backup. But Mac Jones coming in, he's not got as much polish on his game as, let's say, Trevor Lawrence or Fields or even Zach Wilson. So him sitting behind Matt Ryan and learning behind Matt Ryan would do wonders for his career.
Like you said, though,
Yeah, I
Mike,
mean, you're not going to pick we're not going to pick a QB with the 4th pick purely because it's going to cost us $4 million to have someone sat on their ass for 2 years.
yeah,
So I mean that rules that out. And going back to Kurt Benker, I mean, from what I've seen in preseasons gone by, I don't think he's done enough to be able to sit as a number 2. He doesn't seem to have the arm strength from what I've seen, and a little bit off target as well. He's a practice squad player.
It must be a hard life being a quarterback because you've only got that one option on the pitch. And how many people that have had unbelievable potential have just fizzled out and ended up nowhere just because they don't really get the opportunity to do so? They've had someone better in front of them. They've had a slight injury, and it fully just changes the career. Like you said, Mike, it's probably quite a good call going for someone at that sort of range, just because you're not having to pay them the big bucks, but you're still getting a decent amount of quality. The only thing I'd say, though, is that investment worth it when you've got Benkert there? Like you just mentioned, Benkert, is taking that someone that high worth overruling him?
If Mac Jones is available, I think he is a perfect fit for our for what we've built out here. If he's available in the 3rd, we take him there. But if he's not available, I'm going to be honest. We don't need to take a quarterback in the draft this year. I think, and I've been able to see I've been able to see Benkert not only at the in the preseason games, but also in some of the practices that that get to be shown. He's got great fundamentals. He just needs, his big thing is he needs more game reps to be better. I would honestly like to see us sit Schaub, for make him an active flex Benkert out for the last game this Sunday, and then maybe not exactly have him play a whole lot. You could have him play in the second half, play some situational downs. But I think having him even on the sideline talking to Matt Ryan, and learning right there, I think that would be big for him. Because I mean, it's important for everybody to see some game time to develop, because that's really, we all have jobs. We all know you go in, you get trained on your job, and then the training that you receive has nothing to do with your actual job. And most of what you learn is by doing, and that's true for the NFL too.
Coming off the back of that, then I've got a question on screen from Maggie. Is it going to happen? No. Should it happen? I'd give it a go. In short, the coaches aren't going to do it because they've still got they've still got things to play for. The players wouldn't have it, all of them, because they've still got careers to play for. But I'd give people a shot. I'd add some rotation in when there's nothing on the line, personally.
But the thing is, do players like Matt Ryan want to get benched? Because, I mean, Matt takes pride in the fact he's only missed 3 games in his entire career. So do you think someone like him wants it, or Calvin Ridley, who's essentially been one of the best receivers in the NFL this year, and he might want to boost his stats even more? Let's say.
I think it might be about the incentives in the contract.
Plus the wages,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because getting sat, if you miss your if you miss certain things in your contract, you're losing hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Yeah, they're not going to get a game check, are they? So
yeah, well they'll get a game check because it's part of their salary, but they're not going to get. But they could miss out on $250,000 for, let's say Calvin Ridley has something in his contract that he gets a bonus of $250,000 for getting double-digit touchdowns. Well, he's at 9 touchdowns right now, and he's 78 yards away from 1,400 yards.
Yeah.
And so if he gets that 1,400 and 10 touchdowns, I mean that's a big year for anyone. But especially our wide receiver too, and heir apparent to Julio Jones when he finally hangs up his cleats.
Yeah.
That's a big thing. So yeah, people aren't going to want to sit because they're playing for their careers.
But not only money, but they're playing for pride as well. I mean, at the end of the day, they're professionals. They want to play. They're not going to want to sit down. Whether it's the first game, last game of the season, they just want to go out there and play and represent. It's as simple as that.
Yeah. And I agree with Twisted. He is absolutely a Pro Bowl snub. He'll probably get in on as an alternate. There will be a few that'll be alternate. I think he's going to be one. Foye is probably going to be one as well. But yeah, it's absolutely is a snub. Of course, you're playing the game on Madden, so I don't know how many people aren't going to go to the Pro Bowl because now they're not putting their careers on the line to play a game that doesn't matter.
I think the thing is, it's because we've had a shit year. I think if we were topping the division, he would be rightly in there.
Yeah, I agree. I've got a few questions on Twitter that I was going to cover. We've accidentally covered a few about Sewell and about quarterback and things like that. One from Chad Myers saying, "What do we need to do to address the pass defense?" And I know, Mike, your draft probably caters to that a little bit, but
yeah.
Well, the corner, really. I think that it just solidified the back end.
Abrahams.
I've got nothing. I just want to say restart entirely, but
you're probably going
to off the back of the performance against the Chiefs, and we played well, so it's fucking annoying because all season we've been like, it's not quite good enough, and then we put a game in.
Well, by the same token, did we play well or did they play badly? Because Mahomes was off target as well,
Yeah, very true.
Well, and Mahomes wasn't having the day, and he said he wasn't having a great day, but he also said that where he wanted to go, we were already there. Mm-hmm. Like it was like we knew what was coming. Yeah. And which is really weird for someone else to say that about our team instead of our team saying that about someone else. And we'd say, well, yeah, because he has like 5 plays. But yeah, our pass defense, I think is improved. And now that DQ's gone, Isaiah Oliver's played so much better.
It really has, isn't it? I've been really
Sheffield has not been as big of a liability either. He's still got a lot of growing to do. He's been a little bit more disappointing to me than Oliver. But I mean, I know he goes out and plays his heart out like that. That's not. I don't think he's like a Beasley where he just goes out and he's just like, meh, whatever. He plays with heart. He plays with passion. They all do. Yeah. The only 2 guys that I would say that didn't really do that are no longer on the team. Mm-hmm. And it's good for them. It's good for us. Yeah. And but I think a lot of the schemes, and same thing with the offensive line. I blame 90% of our issues on the offensive line with the blocking schemes that because if you're giving shit, what are you going to do? Like, you're going to make a sandwich out of it and just deal with it until you can fire everybody. Yeah. So I think with a new coach, with a new GM, we're going to see a vastly different pass defense. We're going to see a lot more coming out of our secondary. We're going to see a lot more coming out of our line. Just to honestly, and people give me shit all the time for saying this, but we're not that far away. Like we're really not.
We should be like 11-4 now or something like that.
Yeah.
We just blew a lot of games. Detroit, Dallas, Chicago. That's 3 there. What are we on now? 4 wins, so that'd be 7 alone. We probably should have won KC. That's 8. looking at it, we should have about 10 wins. We just can't finish.
I've got to give props to the special teams from Sunday as well, because they were sensational. The times they were on top of the punt receiver, just as he was catching the ball, was just fantastic. The speed was there, the attitude was there. They were awesome Sunday.
Yeah, I think they catched Hardman a couple of times as well. As soon, like literally, it was catch the ball, smash straight into him.
The Chiefs have two of the fastest receivers in the NFL, in Mecole Hardman and Tyreek Hill. And outside of the 130-yard gain that he got over Terrell, they were quiet the entire game. Like, they were blanketed, and when they caught a pass, they were taken down immediately.
Yeah.
It was really, really good to see, stuff that we've been missing for the past couple of years in the secondary. And it's weird that we're top 10 in pressures, but we just can't get to the quarterback. I mean, that's the story of the Falcons after Chuck Smith left, or really after John Abraham left. It's really we've been almost but not quite. So we'll be top 5 in pressures and last in sacks.
Going back, I think that was my player of the day on Sunday. My player of the day, when we had to punt it, and I think we've tagged the punt receiver on something like the 13-yard line. He was literally just about to catch the ball, didn't call fair catch, and it was just straight away. And that was just my favourite player of the whole game, I think.
I think the special teams set the tone.
They really did, yeah.
For the whole team.
Yeah.
It made everyone else think they're not as good as we think they are. So I think everyone gets caught up with Kansas City. Yes, they've got an amazing quarterback. Yes, they've got some ridiculous receivers, but they're human. They make mistakes. Let's be honest. We didn't think Mahomes would throw 2 stupid interceptions.
No,
almost.
Yeah.
It's a shame for the league that we played them so late in the season, because if we gave them a game like that earlier on in the year, I think people would have changed how they approached them 100%. Because if the Falcons in poor form can do that, then there's a lot of other teams that could have put something like that up against them.
Yeah.
Well, I think there's only been maybe 2 or 3 games this year where we've deserved to lose heavily. Where we just haven't played well, we haven't turned up, haven't looked interested. Like you say, a lot of the other games have been close games, or we've played well and lost. But there has only been 2 or 3 where we just haven't looked bothered at all.
Yeah,
and like James says, like Mike says, we're not far away. If we can solidify in free agency and in the draft, then hopefully we can at least go 8-8 next year.
Oh God, I'm laughing because it hurts that that's our aim, when really you just want playoffs every year. But I know that's more realistic. I know anything's an improvement on this.
I think the division's going to be massively wide open next year.
And Breezy's probably going to retire. Brady and the Bucks are going to lose a few players. Sue's a free agent. David's a free agent. Godwin's a free agent. So they're going to have
New Orleans are going to have to ship players as well.
Tampa Bay might have let a couple of those dudes go, because the cap's looking like it's going to go down, even though we don't know for certain yet.
Yeah,
it's going to go down, but I don't think it's going to go down as much as they are going to, as they're thinking. And I'm pretty sure if the cap does go down a good bit, the NFL is going to come back and be like, well, here you can have like 3 protected contracts that don't that don't count against the cap this year. They're not going to drop, because I think the freaking Saints per overthecap.com a couple of weeks ago, they were like $99 million over the cap. Now Mickey Loomis is gonna do some voodoo and somehow re-sign everybody and still come in $2 million under the cap. I don't know how they do that down there.
Could be doing Saracens.
Yeah.
Could be doing a series.
Yeah, but Yeah, there's something they're doing something, but yeah, it's going to be a lot of that, and I think they're going to have some they're going to have some protected contracts because they're going to have to. You're not going to be able to jettison half your team just to There's like what 4 teams that are in good shape, and that's like and that's the teams that suck right now. It's like the Jaguars, the Jets, and New England. Yeah, they're okay, if the cap goes down like the 50 million that they're thinking it is. But honestly, so many people have been watching the games, so many people have been buying ads, so many people have been buying merch because they can't get to the games, they want to do their stuff. And now with the increases in streams and stuff that give international viewers the ability to watch the games, NFL Pass, all that good stuff. Which NFL Pass is a fantastic deal. $99 for a year. It's so there's a lot of things that there's a lot of revenue streams that they're tapping into that they just didn't have the past few years that are really coming up. So it's definitely it's going to be a different NFL. We're going to lose some of the cap, but I don't think it's going to be the 50 million. I think we're looking probably 15 to 20 million, and if it's more than that, we're going to have protected salary or protected contracts.
Yeah, flat salary cap like what the NBA and NHL have done this year. Could you see one of those scenarios?
Yeah, the NBA salary cap is a joke. It's a soft cap. It's like hey,
cap.
Yeah, they're like, well, you can't spend more than this. If you do that, then you have to pay the NBA more money, in the luxury tax. Honestly, the salary cap, the draft, so many things with the NBA are just complete and utter joke.
That's the Warriors managed to spend 300 million over the salary cap each year and are allowed to do it.
Yeah, and because they pay like 75 million to the luxury tax. But quick shout out to the Atlanta Hawks who won yesterday over the Pistons 128-120. They are now 3-0.
Let's go
for the season.
with the Brooklyn Nets coming up next.
Yep, I still think we're gonna win that game tomorrow.
Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving who are coming back fresh after missing the Memphis game.
Yeah, I don't care. We're gonna win.
Right, lads.
Ready for the year. So
we've not got too much longer left, but I want to make sure we get all of the questions that I got on Twitter. This is pretty much the last one. We've indirectly covered the rest. James Reese has said, Eric Bieniemy as a head coach, would he take with Matt Ryan or would he take a younger quarterback? And would you have him in the first place, I suppose, is the question.
He saw what Matt Ryan was capable of against the Chiefs. And that Chiefs defense isn't bad. He saw what Matt Ryan could do. He outplayed Mahomes, who's probably the MVP this year if you take out Aaron Rodgers. He was Super Bowl MVP last year. He was MVP in 2018. And I reckon Aaron Rodgers is MVP this year. Sorry to disappoint Mahomes fans. But Mahomes is probably second in that race. And to see Matt Ryan, who's not had a perfect year, outplay him in his own backyard is something. Bieniemy will roll with Matt Ryan for a year at the very least.
I think we're going with Brian Daboll out of Buffalo. So we've seen, to me, and I love what they do in KC, but to me, Eric Bieniemy is the offensive version of Dan Quinn. He's running Andy Reid's offense. He's learning from Andy Reid, but I don't know. I don't know. But Brian Daboll, he's been behind Bill Belichick. He's been behind Nick Saban. He's got a phenomenal offense going on in Buffalo, and he's actually running the offense in Buffalo. And you look at what they're doing, and their quarterback I don't understand why he's not in the MVP talk. He's tossing dimes and getting away with crimes. Like just watch what they did last night against the Patriots. It's insane. So I would rather see Dayball come in. I think he's also going to stick with Matt Ryan for, let's be honest, guys. Matt Ryan's going to be in Atlanta until he decides to hang it up. Like, Blank's not going to let him walk. Blank's not going to let anybody mess with him. He's a Falcon for life. Him and Julio are going to be here for the rest of their careers.
Yeah.
That's just something we just need to understand, and the people that are mad about it just, I don't know, die mad. Like, that's just, he's the best quarterback that the Falcons have ever had, and I was there in the 90s, and in the 90s before we got Vic, and they're all like, oh yeah, they're pretty good. Yeah, they were okay compared to, and even with Vic, love Vic to death. He could throw 80 yards, but you never know. The 80 yards could be behind him. He was incredibly inaccurate. So having Matt Ryan, man, you want to keep him for as long as you can. He should be in the same conversation as Breeze and Brady, to be honest, and he's going to have a gold jacket when it's all said and done.
Here's the thing,
I think he is, though, by the same Falcons fans. I think he is. I think everyone appreciated, knows what he's done and what he can do. I think it's just the, kneeling for the flag, teeth gnashing, whiny little bitches that that just want to blame him for everything.
Yeah, he wasn't the popular pick in 2008 when he was drafted 3rd overall. A lot of people were like, yeah, you should get Joe Flacco, and a lot of the people that were complaining about him now, honestly, were like, we should wait till Mike Vick gets out of jail, and then let him come back, because Vic did a lot of stuff for Atlanta when he was here. And he was great. He didn't want to be in Atlanta when he was here, though. Like, he didn't realize how good he had it. He had a great write up a couple of years ago about his time in Atlanta and about what Atlanta meant to him after the fact. He didn't appreciate what he had, and that's a lot. That's really what would have happened with Brett Favre if we hadn't traded him to Green Bay. He would have been.
Sorry, I was going to say the Brett Favre 30 for 30 was fascinating. When he was talking about being in Atlanta and being traded to Green Bay, and I'm looking forward to actually seeing the Mike Vick 30 for 30 as well. It's one I haven't seen. The other documentary that was done about him was brilliant, and I'm one of those. I don't know. No offense to you, Mike, but supporters in America to supporters in the UK, sport-wise, are very, very different animals. In that, for someone like Mike Vick, if he would have been brought back into Atlanta, they would have gone on strike. We're not setting foot in. Like I said about the kneeling for the flag. Oh, we're going to boycott the NFL. We're going to do this, that, and the other. In the UK. We've seen it with the footballer Lee Hughes, kills someone in a road accident, goes to prison, comes out, he's back playing football again. And he would have been welcomed back at some of the clubs he'd have been. I would have had no problem with Mike Vick actually coming back to Atlanta when he was released, if he showed that he had remorse, which he has.
Oh, absolutely.
And paid the price for what he did, and showed and do what he did at Philadelphia and what have you off the field, and it showed how much he changed. But I know, and I think Arthur Blank knew as well, that if he did bring him back to Atlanta, all hell would have broken loose amongst a lot of the support.
Maybe, and that is something to take into account, because a lot of people are still just absolutely hate Mike Vick for what he did. And I'm like, look, he went to prison, he did the time, and then he's worked tirelessly to change the narrative about him, because he really did learn a lot through that.
Yeah.
But,
I mean, don't get me wrong. What we all agree what he did is abhorrent.
Yeah.
There's no two ways about it. But you're absolutely right. He did. He changed. He has shown, especially with all the work he's doing in regards to dogfighting and what have you, and animal welfare and what have you. Now he's shown remorse, and I would have had, like I say, sorry to go off on a tangent, Mike, but I would have had no problem whatsoever in coming back.
And I would agree with you, except I remember him in Atlanta, watching him when he was in Atlanta, and he just didn't give a shit about Atlanta until after he left. And it wasn't until he was close to retirement that he was like, "Oh shit, I really messed that up." If he had come back after prison, I don't think he would have had that revelation. And honestly,
I disagree slightly in that he had the time in prison to reflect on what happened, and I think if Arthur Blank had stood by him, not contract wise, but if he'd have stood by him, and I think he would have come back to Atlanta a changed animal. I know what you're saying, but because obviously he went off elsewhere, that showed him what he'd lost out on.
Yeah.
I work in public relations, and if Mike Vick would have come back, that's like crisis comms would have been in been an absolutely toxic situation. I think the media and PR guys have been working all hours to try and put fires out.
And he went to the city that he needed to go to. I don't know how much y'all know about Philadelphia. But they will burn their city if their team loses. They burn their city if their team wins. They literally had to put Vaseline on their light poles so people didn't climb up them. Whether or not they lost the Super Bowl, it doesn't matter. Like the city workers there, they're like, we don't care. It's gonna suck for us either way. And and you go to Philly, and Philadelphia is the city of brotherly love. Yeah, sure. Try walking into I don't know, Leeds with a Manny U shirt or Manny U jersey. Walking to a pub at closing time, with another team's kid on, and see how they treat you. I guarantee you, it's a lot nicer than what they would do in Philly. Seriously. People get in fights over what the best Eagles uniform was. No one gives a shit about that except Philly. And they will get in fistfights at the stadium. They have a jail in the stadium because people can't keep their hands off of each other.
Like the Ravens game, how they were knocking crap out of each other over where someone was sat.
Yeah.
No, literally.
They also throw snowballs at Santa.
Yeah, Philadelphia fans are our equivalent to Millwall fans.
Yes. Yeah, I believe so. Sounds about right.
Yeah, it's insane. Like there was a guy that was stabbed outside of the stadium because he had on a Redskins shirt or Redskins jersey. Or I'm sorry, Washington football team jersey. Of course, it's more accurate with the Redskins because they're because that's actually what their name was at the time. But yeah. He just walked up, like, stab.
What the fuck? This is why we like getting you on, Mike, because we get takes and we get stories that we don't have from all the way over here. So,
one story about Eagle supporters. Apparently, when they won the Super Bowl, they started ransacking their own shops and everything.
Mm-hmm. They would have done it if they lost. It doesn't matter.
They were attacking each other's cars. They were ransacking stores. They were knocking the shit out of each other. I think a copper got put in hospital.
Mm-hmm. Cop cars were burned.
I mean, it's not how I celebrate a Super Bowl victory, and it's not how I celebrated a Super Bowl loss. Each of their own.
Would you even dream of doing it when Aguero won the title for City as a Man United?
Oh, I don't know. I got close. I got close when he took the title.
I was on a table in Northampton. I'm a QPR fan, so I was on a table in Northampton screaming when Aguero scored because at least we knew we were staying up.
Right, you've all just put me in a foul mood. On that note, lads, I think we'll wrap the show up for today. We've covered a bit of Chiefs, a lot of draft, and a lot of other random topics along the way. So I think we'll call it a day. We've got one more game left. We'll do a review show of that, and then off season, we're just going to have many draft shows. We've got Jamal lined up to come on the show, so we'll try and get a few guests on when he's on, and things like that. So yeah. So it's been a lot of fun, and I'll give you all a bell afterwards. Thank you for coming on, everyone, and thank you for watching.
Cheers, guys. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.